Good evening. This is the Board of Trustees regular meeting. The date is August 12th, 2014. The time is 7:30 p.m. on the dot. This is meeting number 2014-23. Please take the roll.
President Barry?
Here.
Trustee Border?
Here.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Here.
Trustee Olenichek?
Here.
Trustee Desmond?
Here.
And Trustee Kirby?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent, thank you. Would everyone please rise if you could for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item 3 on our agenda tonight is public comments. And Jane, we have no public comments listed, correct? Okay. So we're going to move on to item 4 on the agenda. Before I do that, I've had a request from more than one resident. When the trustees or anyone are speaking, please speak into the microphone as much as you could. Thank you. There are folks that can't hear on the TV. So, item 4, a request for the Board of Trustees approval and direction to the Fire and Police Commission to promote 2 police lieutenants and 2 police sergeants from the current eligibility list due to 2 retirements. May I have a motion on item 4, please?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by Trustee Olenichek. Seconded by Trustee Border. Are there any discussion on this item? Please take the roll.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Olenichek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
And Trustee Kirby?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 5 on the agenda is a request to approve the Oaklawn Hometown District 123 5K race. This will occur on October 4th, 2014. May I have a motion on item 5, please?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Trustee Borderer.
Second.
Seconded, I'm going to give it to Trustee Quinlan. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have a few proclamations this evening. The first one is for Chef's Appreciation Day. I'm going to just read it up here. Is there anyone from Chef's Appreciation Day in the present? Okay. Whereas the National Pink Tie Organization has a mission of banding men together in the fight against cancer and a vision of men nationwide wearing pink or fuchsia ties to raise awareness to educate and empower the community about cancer. And whereas the NPTO's Chef Against Cancer involves over 400,000 chefs and is growing rapidly worldwide. Whereas the NPTO chefs have made the commitment that their colleagues will not be alone when the going gets tough. Whereas few things are better for both the body and the soul than a well-crafted, sublimely prepared, and lovingly presented meal. And whereas the residents of Oak Lawn support the fight against cancer, honoring the survivors and remembering those who will forever live in our hearts. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Sandra Berry, Village President of the Village of Oak Lawn, do hereby proclaim that August 16th, 2014, to be Chef's Appreciation Day in the Village of Oak Lawn, and we encourage all citizens to thank our chefs. Thank you. I'm going to ask the Ciccarillo family to come to the podium, please, especially Mrs. Ciccarillo. It's very nice to have Anna Ciccarillo here today. Okay, Anna, how are you? Okay, and who's here today? Would someone from the Ciccarillo family? Oh, we have everyone. Okay, Anna, you come stand here next to me, and we'll get the little boys in front by you, and your big boys. There we go. Kind of behind. And is everyone in the Ciccarillo family who wants to be here up here? I see some more Ciccarillo family members. Come on. Excellent, excellent. Excellent. That's more like it.
Thank you.
We are so proud of Anna Ciccarillo. Anna you are celebrating your 100th birthday, and we are so proud of you. You were born on August 19th, 1914, to Anthony and Sophie Gates. And you had two sisters, Sophie and Stella, whereas Anna Ciccarillo attended the St. Anne Grammar School. And Anna Ciccarillo graduated from Inglewood High School in 1932, whereas Anna Ciccarillo moved to Oak Lawn in 1950, and Anna Ciccarillo has been a member of the St. Gerald Parish since 1950. You worked for Nabisco for 23 years. You retired in 1979, and whereas Anna Ciccarillo loves to play bingo at the Johnson Phelps VFW Post 5220, and whereas Anna Ciccarillo raised 3 boys, Joseph, Anthony, and John, very nice, and Anna Ciccarillo has been blessed with 14 grandchildren, 22 great-grandchildren, and 4 great-great-grandchildren. She says the Ciccarillo family is well known, indeed. Now, therefore, I, Dr. Sandra Berry, Village President of the Village of Oak Lawn, join along with our Board of Trustees, family, friends, in wishing Anna Ciccarillo a very happy 100th birthday on August 19th, 2014. We are so happy for you. Would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody, and thank you very much.
And how wonderful to be surrounded by so many of your family today, and thank you for coming. That's not all of them either. Thank you, and God bless you on your birthday. Thank you. Okay. These are some extra. What a lovely resident. Okay. Okay. I have a motion, I believe, regarding item 18 on the agenda. We're requesting that be moved up. And who is making that motion? Tim. Okay. Trustee Desmond, make a motion to move item 18 up, and seconded by Trustee Olenichek. Any discussion? Please take the roll.
Trustee Vorder,
Yes.
Trustee Strike,
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
Trustee Olenichek,
Yes.
Trustee Desmond,
Yes.
Trustee Carberry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we're moving to item 18 on the agenda. Yes. This is ordinance 142346, an ordinance approving certain traffic regulations, post in-street crosswalk signs for Lieb School. This is at 91st Place and Oak Park Avenue. May I have a motion, please, on item 18?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Trustee Desmond,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Olenichek. Are the petitioners present? Anyone from there present? No? Any discussion? Okay, let's take the roll then.
Trustee Vorder,
Yes.
Trustee Strike,
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
Trustee Olenichek,
Yes.
Trustee Desmond,
Yes.
Trustee Carberry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 7 on our agenda is a presentation by Nicor Gas. This is their service modernization work. Nicor Gas present? Thank you. Would you care to come to the podium, please? And we're going to ask that you speak into the mic, state your name, and also if you live in Oak Lawn or not.
My name is Joe Del Real, Manager of Community Relations with Nicor Gas, and I am not a resident of Oak Lawn. Maintaining a safe and reliable natural gas system to meet our customers' energy needs requires that we upgrade and modernize our infrastructure to ensure natural gas continues to flow to the communities we serve, including the Village of Oak Lawn. As such, Nicor Gas is modernizing our gas infrastructure in your community by replacing copper services with new plastic gas services. Notification of affected Nicor Gas customers in your community is ongoing through our scheduling department. The correspondence will provide your residents, our customers, details regarding service interruption, subsequent relighting, including a free safety inspection, property restoration, and a Nicor gas contact. Nicor gas crews, approximately 3 to 4, and it depends on our other daily operations, will be replacing copper gas services in the neighborhoods indicated on maps that were provided. I'm hoping the board has
Yes, we do.
indicated on the maps that were provided to the Board of Trustees. The scope of work includes replacing the gas service line from the main to the meter. We're asking for the cooperation and patience of our customers, as Nicor gas crews may need to gain access to the residents' homes or places of business to complete important steps in this modernization work, including the relighting of gas appliances. Should anybody have any questions regarding our work there, feel free to call me. Again, my name is Joe Del Real. The information has been provided to the board regarding how to get a hold of me, telephone numbers, and email. Are there any questions from the board regarding our gas modernization work?
Manager Deaton.
Thank you, Mayor and Board, and Joe, I think you've seen my communications. The issue that the village has is we have a comprehensive street repaving and upgrading our own utilities, water and sewer. We need the commitment up front that NICAR understands the responsibility to submit your permits prior to any work being contemplated, and done so a year in advance of our proposed schedule, so we do not end up repaving the street, inconveniencing residents during construction, and then the following year you return and you dig the street up again. So it's got to be coordinated. That's been our position since 2009. It should not change. I'm very pleased to hear that you're here to upgrade your system, but we need you to work and coordinate your utilities when we're digging up streets, so the work is done once versus repetitively in a neighborhood. Fair enough?
That's fair enough. If I commit myself to working with your public works directors, Steve Barrett, your village engineer, Jack Gallagher, to submit to them as quickly as we know which services need to be replaced and in which areas. I have on record approximately 1,600 copper services in the village of Oak Lawn, 450 of which are being replaced in this year in 2014. I do have some frequently asked questions, if I may continue to present that information.
Thank you, Joe.
So that it addresses the concerns of residents.
Yes.
Will my gas service be interrupted? Yes. We want to assure you that the interruption of the natural gas service during the project be minimal. We will need access to your home. Our employees do carry company badges, and if there's something that doesn't quite sit well with the resident, they can always call us at our toll-free number to verify employment of the person presenting themselves as a Nicor Gas employee. During this process, we will do everything we can to accommodate your schedule. You will be notified before any work needs to be done inside. Your service will only be interrupted while we replace the gas service pipe itself, and then we relight your appliances and conduct a safety inspection. We anticipate this process will take about 3 hours per service replaced. Does the resident or our customer need to be home? No. If we replace your gas service while you're away from home, we will leave a blue tag at the residence. That has a toll-free number that they can call 24 hours a day, and when they call that number, we will send out an operations mechanic to come relight the gas appliances that have been interrupted and perform the safety inspection at that time. How will we, as Nicor Gas, as an excavator, know about the sprinkler systems? We have come across those previously in other communities. If your gas service is scheduled for replacement, please alert the installation crew as to the location of your privately owned underground facilities, such as sprinkler systems, invisible dog fences, yard lights, etc. These facilities are not marked when we call the one-call system Julie in Illinois. The installation crew is responsible for having the utility-owned facilities marked. You can mark your facilities with spray paint, stakes, or signs, anything that will be a clear indication to our crews that you have an underground facility you want us to avoid. We will fix underground sprinklers. If not, our landscape company will fix anything that any of the underground sprinkler systems. They do have that capacity. that may be damaged inadvertently during construction. If you smell natural gas following this work, it's very important, please don't look for the leak. Don't use or touch anything electrical like flipping off light switches or turning off the TV. Don't even use a cell phone. Just leave the area right away and then call us at 1-888-NICOR4U. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Will the landscaping on property be disturbed? We want you to know that treating your property is very important to us. Treating it with respect is important to us. We will use the most effective construction process to replace the gas service to minimize the impact of your property. That includes using trenchless technology, including horizontal directional drilling and other equipment that's available to us. For those properties impacted by the project, Nicor Gas is committed to providing complete landscape and paving restoration. We promise to be diligent in restoring your property to the condition in which we found it. How does this work benefit me? Well, this modernization work will initially cause a minor disruption to some homes and businesses. Upgrading current gas services will assure the continued delivery of safe and reliable gas service to your home. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question?
Larry first.
Thank
and
you,
then-
Mayor. Joe, just one clarification.
Yes, sir.
Commitment on NICAR's part to follow the construction standards of the village. For example, if a parkway area is disturbed and Oak Lawn homeowners take exceptional care to their parkways, they edge them, it's grass comparable to sod condition, that you will replace it with the equivalent. We use sod, we don't use grass seed. So I would expect, understanding the type of the work as far as when it's done in the year, that you will replace it with sod, not grass seed.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Trustee Quinlan.
Just one comment, is it possible for those maps to be put on our website? So people
Absolutely.
can go on in and see if they're gonna be part of the program this year.
Trustee Warder.
Yeah, looking at the maps here, it's pretty much my district and Trustee Carberry's district. When's this work gonna start?
The work notification has already started, and we do have crews little by little that are starting the work.
Okay,
So the work is ongoing.
so
And
it'll be
again,
done this fall?
yes, we try not to, when working with the village officials, Mr. Barrett, Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Chickarillo, is that we didn't want to call that all these services in for locates right away, because that would be overwhelming.
Okay.
So as we complete them, we keep calling Julie's in and proceeding with the work throughout the rest of the summer.
Okay, but this is a program to redo the whole village, just these particular areas right now, right?
As I stated previously, we have about 1,600
Okay.
copper services in the village of Oak Lawn. 450
Right.
are on slate to be completed this year.
Okay. And just to piggyback on the village manager's comment about streets, a number of streets are being repaved in my district, which are in this area which you're going to be doing this work. Hopefully you will work with the village and make sure you don't disrupt the nice paved streets that we're spending thousands for.
Right, just to clarify that the maps that you have do represent the 450 that are being done this year. So we can take a look at the list, and again, over the course of the next couple of years, we can coordinate with village officials, and when the remaining 1,000 to 1,100 will be replaced, see if you have your capital program that might come into play, and coordinate it so that we get there first and not have to do things twice.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thanks. Any other questions for Nicor? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 8 on the agenda is a presentation by Norcom. Anyone from Norcom in the audience? Hi. Could you state your name, please, and if you're an Oak Lawn resident, sir?
Yes, my name is Michael Tillman. I am not an Oak Lawn resident. I'm Vice President for Norcom Public Safety Communications, and I'm here tonight to present the Village of Oak Lawn with a plaque in recognition of our public-private partnership in the delivery of 911 emergency dispatch services. I'd like to read the plaque. It's a certificate of teamwork. This certificate is awarded to the Village of Oak Lawn. Thank you for the continued commitment required of our public-private partnership to achieve excellence and success in the delivery of 911 emergency dispatch services. Since we began our public-private partnership on January 22nd, 2014, Norcom and the Village of Oak Lawn have successfully dispatched over 100,000 calls for service. Norcom values its partnership with the Village of Oak Lawn and provides the village with this award in recognition of our partnership.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, as long as Mr. Tillman is here,
Thank you very much for coming by.
could he take any questions?
Thank you.
I actually have.
I'm sure he's available for calls. Conflict of interest disclosure is item 9 on the agenda. Does anyone have a conflict of interest with any item on tonight's agenda? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move on then to item 10. This is approval of meeting minutes, special meeting minutes 2014-20, dated July 8th, 2014. May I have a motion, please, on item 10?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Trustee Warder, seconded by Trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Trustee Warder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
And Trustee Carberry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, item 11 on the agenda is approval of meeting minutes for the regular meeting minutes 2014-21, dated July 8th, 2014. May I have a motion, please, on item 11? Properly moved by Trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Desmond. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
Trustee Warder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
And Trustee Carberry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 12 is new business by village trustees. We're going to start in District 1. What's new, Trustee Desmond?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to let everybody know that it's fall in the green time again. We have a great entertainment schedule starting on Friday, September the 5th. Everybody had a great time last year. Very successful fall in the green. So I hope everybody comes out again this year. So we got Friday, September 5th, Saturday, September 6th, and Sunday, September 7th. On Saturday, August the 23rd, at the VFW Hall, 9514 South 52nd Avenue, I'm going to be hosting what's called a Welcome Home to Oak Lawn program. This is, I'll just read from the flyer. The Illinois Housing Development Authority is offering the following programs for first-time home buyers and U.S. veterans and active military personnel. The Welcome Home Illinois program offers $7,500 towards a down payment and a below market interest rate. The Welcome Home Heroes program offers military personnel $10,000 in assistance to buy a home in Illinois. Now, we're going to do a workshop on that day. We are going to have mortgage brokers, an attorney, we are going to have real estate agents, everybody that you will need to begin the home buying process. So again, that is Saturday, August the 23rd at 10 a.m. A quick update on the Oak Lawn Jobs program. So far, Mariano's has hired 50 Oak Lawn residents through the Oak Lawn Jobs program. I got a call from Carol Quinlan a week ago that Hallberg Insurance is going to be hiring 50 to 100 people for their ACA call centre, and they too have joined up with the Oak Lawn Jobs program. So if anybody would like to get an interview or start the employment process with Hallberg Insurance, please go to the Village of Oak Lawn website and go to the Oak Lawn Jobs program. This is open to all residents of Oak Lawn, not just recent graduates, as has been the case has been previous requirements in the Oak Lawn Jobs program. I will be holding another neighbourhood watch meeting on Wednesday, August the 20th at 6 p.m. at St. Louis de Montfort School. The topics going to be discussed will be neighbourhood problems, gang issues and other neighbourhood concerns. And I'm hoping also to have someone there from the Property Tax Board of Review to advise people on appealing their property taxes. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. And District 2, Trustee Olenichek.
Yeah, just piggybacking on what Tim had to say on the property tax review. Between now and September 2nd, Wirt Township residents, Oak Lawn residents, can file an appeal of real estate taxes with the Cook County Board of Review. There's two ways you can do it. You could go online and file at www.cookcountyboardofreview.com, or you could do it with paper. It's not too difficult to do. You'll need your PIN number and your previous year's tax bill. And right now I'm working with staff to put together a date for anybody that had a need to learn how to do it or some help doing it for either the 28th or 29th. We're just trying to work out the logistics on that of August. But I do recommend, all of our properties have been reassessed. I do recommend to go ahead and file your own, if you can, for review of your assessment. It's been a while since we've had our last village board meeting. A couple of things in the neighborhood have popped up. I've been seeing vendors that are walking through the neighborhood. They go by the name of IGS Energy. They knock door to door. When they came into my neighborhood, I asked them for a permit. They didn't have the permit. As I was calling the police, they got into the car and they left. We couldn't find them after that, but I've heard as recently as today, they're going door to door, knocking on doors, trying to get people to sign up on an energy, both electric and natural gas. It's pretty hard sell at the door, and what I will tell you is, number one, they do not have a permit with the Village of Oak Lawn. Correct, Jane?
Correct.
Number two, if somebody comes to your door and tries to sell you something too good to believe, it is too good to believe. So be very, very careful. Do not give any information out. But they seem very credible. Nice uniforms, some official-looking identification, but do not go with them. I know that our energy contract expires in February, and we are going to be working with our current supplier to get a equally as good rate for our energy. In Crane's magazine, dated July 31st, 2014, the column that caught my eye is Court Zaps ComEd for 2011 storm outages. So I had to read through there, and it shows that the Illinois Appellate Court upheld the state utility regulators' ruling last year that Commonwealth Edison Company must reimburse up to 35,000 customers, as well as affected municipalities, for damages stemming from long outages during severe storms in the summer of 2011. The three-judge panel rejected ComEd's arguments that the state law governing when utilities must honor claims for food spoilage and other losses wasn't intended to require utility payments when severe storms knocked out power to thousands at a time. The Illinois Commerce Commission determined last year that among the hundreds of thousands who lost power for more than 4 hours at a time during a series of intense storms 3 years ago, some 34,559 were preventable. ComEd executives at the time said the ruling misinterpreted a state law passed in the 1990s after a series of blue sky outages. That statute, ComEd said, never was intended to apply to storm-related power losses. It is clear from the Commission's decision that it concluded that ComEd could and should have trimmed trees to prevent limbs from swaying into power lines, Judge James Epstein wrote in his decision. What's more, the court said ComEd can't collect from ratepayers the cost of notifying eligible customers that they can recover their losses. So hopefully we'll be getting some information from Commonwealth Edison based on this, but it's pretty strong language. It's something that I know that this board, the majority of us have been working together to right a wrong with the residents that have been out of power, and that was just 2011. We still have to go for 2012, 2013, and 2014. So that was very good information that was provided to us. And last but not least, Central and Southwest Highway. The building schedule for the turning lane on Central and Southwest Highway has been put together. Bids are out, and there should be meetings by the end of this month to put together the construction phase, which should go through September, October, and finish up in November. So it was a 6-7 year process that we're finally getting underway. That concludes my report.
Excellent news. Thank you. District 3, what's going on? Trustee Straight.
Thank you, Mayor, and I was a little disappointed at how quickly you whisked out the representative from NORCOM, that was obviously well staged, that he would present a plaque and run out the door before he would take questions. So I think, public safety is certainly the most important issue that we have to address as board members here in the village. And since the outsourcing of the 911 center earlier this year, there have been many questions raised about the quality of the service that our residents receive. I hear comments on a regular basis, certainly several a week, and they're very serious issues. We know that Evergreen Park sent a letter, a very critical letter, to the Village of Oak Lawn, and I would be interested to know if some of the other municipalities that we serve have sent us similar letters. I think what we really need to do to get down to what's really, are we jeopardizing the safety of our residents? Are we jeopardizing the safety of the officers and the first responders? And certainly, are we jeopardizing the residents and officers of the communities that we serve? What I'd like to see is an independent fact-finding survey that would be undertaken to evaluate the service. The service should be rated for certainly response time and the telecommunicators' knowledge of the area. I would ask that our board immediately engage an independent firm to evaluate our current service. I can tell you that the results, without even seeing them, what they would look like. Because again, I hear from so many people. I hope you all do. I know that I certainly do. They might seek me out because I oppose the outsourcing, but I would like to see the actual numbers so that the board could have an honest discussion about this issue. I just got a call the other day from a resident who told me that her neighbor called 911 3 weeks ago, and that she thought that her husband was having a heart attack. And she said that the dispatcher asked her, this woman has been a resident of Oak Lawn in your district, Trustee Desmond, for in excess of 20 years, at the same house, with the same landline, and the dispatcher asked this person 4 times for her address. And she said, if her husband was having a heart attack, that he likely wouldn't have survived. I think it's important that we all take a real close look at those issues. I think one of the things that we could look at in looking at the criteria, critical evidence, would be what was the response time for 911 prior to outsourcing, and of course, what is the response time now? I did earlier this year ask the manager this very question, and he actually said he had no idea what I was talking about. So also, what if a tragedy resulted from a dispatch error? Who's liable? I would like to know. I'm sure that NORCOM would say that they're liable, but I'd like to know if they indemnified the Village of Oak Lawn. We're getting less service at a greater risk to the public. And I've heard some very disturbing things, and I'd rather really be asking NORCOM because I think they should address these issues. But I think that I'm going to tell the board, because I think, if you haven't heard these things, I think that you should. I've heard that there has been a time when personnel did not show up, that someone had to cover multiple towns simultaneously, and the question was raised, what happens if both towns called in at the same time? Is someone put on hold, and has that ever happened? I've heard that it has. So the question is, I think it's pretty obvious. If the question is, has somebody's life been put in jeopardy? And so the other thing too that is that's come to my attention is that there are people. They've had people working multiple 16-hour shifts. One telecommunicator actually was required to work 6 16-hour consecutive shifts, 6 in a row, and then told that a planned vacation was not gonna be taken. And that telecommunicator quit. Now, you know, I gotta tell you, if the board, I really wanna ask, is the board comfortable with that? Because I'm not. And I really would like that independent fact-finding survey so that we can find out really where we're at as a community and the safety of our residents and our first responders. And I guess I'd be happy to hear somebody respond to that, but I'll also just say that on the Trustee Olenichek's comments about the electrical company going door to door in the community, you can't say it enough. We can't tell you enough. They do ask you to see your bill, and they tell you that you're going to save money, and they're not. You are not going to save money. We have a rate of 5 cents, 5.118 cents per kilowatt hour. They cannot touch it. So, you know, he's absolutely right. Please do not switch that service because, yeah.
Did he say I'm right?
Well, it's,
Wow, that's a
I
double
heard it.
positive. Wow. This thing.
I'd like to-
Is that your report, Trustee Strike?
I'm sorry.
Is that your report?
That's all I have to say.
Okay, I'm gonna move on.
Can I
You
say
want
something?
to? Sure.
I'm just curious, Trustee Stride.
Yes.
This is the 2014. Do you have the same type of report from before outsourcing?
As far as our response time?
As far as our the 9/11 dispatches performance?
Do I have a report that's,
You have that information?
well, and you know what, and I guess if,
I'm just asking if you have.
well,
it.
I know that,
You were-
and
you were the
I know that
liaison
you've
with them.
stated that you've read that. You've
Right.
read that kind of information.
Right.
By the way, which when I read that you said that you've read that information, I was kind of surprised that you had access to what seemed to be personnel files. As a trustee, I would think that
It
that would
wasn't
be
personal
appropriate.
files, it was a broad performance report.
Pardon?
It was a
I'm gonna
performance
let
report.
Trustee Desmond talk one at a time.
Sure.
But anyway, I mean, you were surprised. I was shocked. You know, some of the violations: failure to provide emergency medical dispatch, failure to dispatch emergency medical services, delay of ambulance, inattention to duty, officer safety violation, neglected to dispatch police, playing video games at work, excessive absenteeism, failure to verify location, refusal to send Oak Lawn Police Department, failure to dispatch Oak Lawn Fire Department, failure to properly dispatch auto accident with injury, delay in dispatch, not answering radio, call taking behaviour, rude to caller, incorrect address resulting in delay of emergency medical services, incorrect address for burglar alarm, incorrect address for domestic disturbance, incorrect address for domestic battery, delay of call, failure to verify address, delay of dispatch on fire position. These were just some of the multiple violations recorded. And you were the liaison to the fire department and the police at this time. And you were not aware of these? You were not shocked by this?
Actually, I've never been the
Trustee
liaison.
Straight,
Thank you. We
Trustee
have to-
Desmond
Well, I
has
asked-
the
I asked
floor.
him.
Here's a question.
Mhm.
I've never been the liaison to the police or fire department in all my years of service here. And
I stand
Trustee
corrected.
Devon, so thank you. So what I would say is that we've had an in-house 911 telecommunicator service for as long as I can, long before I served on this board. And I think those issues that you just, rifled off, which is good, so that shows me you were prepared tonight. You, just in the event that somebody did
Please
get a
don't
question in,
patronize
which
another trustee.
wasn't, you know what, please,
No, I wasn't.
please don't interrupt me. So,
I have these.
no, that's great that you're prepared, but those, no,
These are my
to
notes
answer
as
your
we took that
question,
vote.
to answer your question, that information was never provided to me. And if it occurred, if those
It's
things
available to you
occurred,
if you ask
Okay,
for
no
it.
back and forth.
really,
Provided
well,
to you.
if, you know what,
I would
Okay.
assume if you voted on something as serious as this,
Trustee
that you would
Desmond
do
has
as
the
much
floor.
research as possible. This is a safety issue, as you were
Okay.
saying.
so what, are you
Okay,
trying to say
we're
that
gonna move
we're,
on.
that
Trustee
we
Stripe,
have a
we're gonna
better
move on to
service
district
today?
I would believe so,
Are you
yes.
new?
Yeah, I mean,
Trustee Straight, Trustee Desmond, thank you very much for the information. We're moving on to District 4.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I have a couple of positive things. Okay. Last year, after becoming trustee, we put a box downstairs to collect the old American flags so that we can show the proper disrespect. It's been hugely successful. I come here at least once a month myself, okay, to take those flags over to the VFW. We're going to embark on a new program here, a partnership with CVS, where we're going to put a box down in the hallway for you to dispose of your outdated drugs. You know, Oak Lawn is a senior community. We have Advocate Hospital here. We have many CVS's. Well, we don't have many CVS's. I'd like to see more, but we have plenty of Walgreens. But anyway, we're partnershiping with CVS with a grant. CVS will provide us with a box, a secure box, that'll be down in our hallway where if you have old drugs, you can come in and put them in the box and they'll be properly disposed of by the chief of police and DEA. Is that correct, chief?
We partner with the DEA.
Yeah, and they'll be properly done. So that's a convenience in our lobby for you. And, you know, I just wanted to touch on the new construction that's going on in Oak Lawn. I happened to go down 95th Street over to the tollway today, and it seemed to me that there were many, many projects going on, major projects, new medical centers, buildings coming down. But of course, the largest construction project going on right now is in my district, and that's Christ Hospital. I had a conversation with Bob Harrison today on the progress of that, and they're moving ahead on schedule. The weather has been very cooperative for construction. The hospital's about 1/3 of the way done. They will be breaking ground shortly on the new and final parking tower, which will be on the east side of Costner Avenue. They're looking at to have the construction and the building done by the late fall 2015, and they hope to be open in the first quarter of 2016, providing services out of that building. So I think there are a lot of positive things happening in Oak Lawn. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Excellent. How's life in District 5, Trustee Quinlan?
Just a couple items. I do want to piggyback on the discussion that Trustee Strike had. You know, in the over 7 years that I've been on this board, never ever prior to our switch to Norcom had I ever received a call or someone telling me about a concern about 911. And maybe it's just the fact that there was a change, that it brought things to attention, people are talking about it. I think it's perfectly okay to say, let's make sure that our decision was the right one, or if we need to make improvements. It's not saying the way that we did it last time was perfect or great, but we don't know how it compares with what we had to what we're doing now. And I don't think we should be able to mess around with, you know, public safety. And if it means just having some type of company or someone from the village, you know, analyzing this information and make sure that we are on the right track, I think it's okay. And I'm a huge supporter of that, because I too have heard complaints, and never, ever in 7 years prior to that did I hear anything. And like I said, it may, you know, it may just be because of the change, but we don't know that for sure. And unless somebody does some searching and, you know, checking on it, we won't know for sure. And I don't want a tragedy to happen and say, well, we didn't know, you know. So I feel strongly about it, whether it's at the committee of the large that we have this discussion, or, you know, somebody needs to be assigned to this and to check into it. Then the other item I did want to just add to Trustee Desmond's report. You know, not only should Oak Lawn residents be going to the website that he had, you know, set up about job opportunities, but I really would like to encourage the businesses as well in Oak Lawn, even our surrounding communities, to please advertise on our website. You know, let us know what jobs that you have available, because that's only going to be helping our own community and trying to help people find work. So, that's all.
Thank you. Trustee Carberry, how's life in District 6?
Very well, thank you, Mayor. Bob Mariano and the development, I just wanted to compliment Paul Sheridan and Hamilton Partners. It's they're going to meet a date that's been a very, very aggressive date of what is it, the 9th, Larry?
September 9th.
It is, very, very exciting. Mr. McHenry from Cooper's Hawk, whose grandfather raised a family just a couple blocks away. It's pretty, an Ameris grad opened in Cooper's Hawk. It's very exciting. And there's I know everybody's hearing about it, and it's exciting. They're doing a great job. And Hamilton is very receptive, and Steve's been working hard on trying to drum up and working on phase 2, right, Steve? So it's exciting, and we have really great people. What a development. Great job to everybody, staff and everybody helping out. There's great job. As far as the NORCOM goes, I'm sure there's a good indicator would be the other municipalities. That makes it kind of really independent in that respect. They're certainly not going to put their residents in jeopardy. So the fact that if they continue on with us, I think will be a great indication that they're getting the kind of service they need to take care of their constituents and their people. But if there is, maybe NORCOM has something. Maybe there's I agree. If there's, do we send out a survey to our customers? Maybe they do something like that. So that's something to follow up on. I'm sure they do. They're a professional company. I'm sure they have some sort of way to measure their success. And so maybe we should do that. That's a good idea. Or maybe they are doing that. Maybe we just ask them. So chances are they are. Measuring themselves. So it's something we can look into. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item, 13 on the agenda, Village Manager's Report. We have an item A update by manager regarding the Cicero Avenue corridor.
Thank you, Mayor, and you have in your package a draft of the third major commercial corridor planning initiative, all funded through federal and state funds through the Chicago Metropolitan Planning Council and also through, in this case, Cicero Avenue, the Southwest Mayor's Conference. And I've spoken to the board's corridor committee, consisted of 3 residents, and they have a copy of that report, and they'll be making a presentation to you in September. So I'll keep my comments brief, only just to try to bottle my enthusiasm. There are some absolutely stellar concepts to improve the Cicero corridor, particularly in Trustee Olenichuk's district as we enter the village at 87th and Cicero, and in the area of the mobile home park, and as we move into the Coral Square area at 95th and Cicero Avenue. Bottom line is the planning efforts, which have been ongoing for over a year, involve the City of Chicago, most prominently Midway Airport, and all the way south to Alsip and the Tollway. Representatives from the Tollway, IDOT, and other bodies are involved, and the plan is really called the Way to Midway. And for everyone in the audience, for the board, transportation is the foundation for a good, strong economy. And Midway Airport is probably one of the greatest assets that the greater Chicago area has. I salute every official in Chicago and the area communities that have worked through the years to build it. What I think is a tremendous asset that is showing growth in employments, meaning the number of men and women who board a plane or exit a plane. It's been a great year for tourism in the greater Chicago area, for visiting, and Oak Lawn benefits that, particularly our Oak Lawn Hilton, folks from the prospering communities of Indiana and Michigan that seek to come to Midway because it has the best connector routes of any of the municipalities in the greater Midwest area. So it's pretty exciting, and I think Oak Lawn will be capturing a lot. Echoing the comments by Trustees Carberry, Trustees Border, and Trustee Desmond, we have a pretty exciting time coming along. September 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. 8th and 9th. Fall in the Green is 5, 6, 7. On the 8th, we're going to have a visit by a special guest, not announced yet, but it'll be a visitor that we can all be proud of in this community. And then on the 9th, Mariano's will have their grand opening to the public, and that opening has jumped other communities, so that speaks well of Oak Lawn, of our developer that we have chosen, Hamilton, who in my opinion is absolutely one of the most ethical, I'm going to repeat that, ethical developers that you have in the greater Chicago area. They've done a wonderful job. The men and women of our Public Works Department, whether it's water, whether it's sewer, our building department, building permits, fire rescue, doing the inspections to ensure that these buildings are safe for the public. All those men and women of Oak Lawn Village have done a great job working with the contractor for Mariano's, Mr. DeVita, who's outstanding. The work, our union jobs, you haven't seen any negative display on that site. Men and women are working late hours. They're working 16 hours in many cases, I may add, to get that project. We have 28 days to go, 28 days to go, and men and women on that site are working double shifts to get this job done. In the Edgar property, we have men and women, 50 from Oak Lawn, that are being trained, getting orientations. I understand it's exhausting, so that they can be prepared to serve customers of Oak Lawn and the greater Oak Lawn area on September 9th. Now, I want to have Steve Radis, who's our Economic Development Specialist, give you a brief presentation, and I hope you'll really look closely at these pictures, because these pictures tell 1,000 words of what's going on in Grand Haven, in Oak Lawn, and what is happening at probably Grand Haven too. What is happening in this community, and what will be happening in the future as more developers, more restaurateurs, more investors look to bet on Oak Lawn for the future. Steve?
Thank you, Manager Geachin. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. Appreciate it. As Trustee Carberry, Trustee Vorder, Trustee Desmond mentioned, there's a lot going on in our village. We're really lucky to be living in Oak Lawn, to be residents of Oak Lawn, and to own businesses in Oak Lawn right now. Drive up and down 95th Street or Cicero, a lot of the other main arteries. There's cranes in the air. There's action. There's hustling and bustling, and it's great to see the development and it's going to create more and more jobs and hopefully economic growth for our community, for our village. I put together a short PowerPoint. Just wondering, Manager Deachin, if you got to see this, because you stole my thunder. I was going to share that 28 days from today, Mariano's was opening.
Mr. Radis, that sign that says Mariano's, I believe that went up just today.
It went up yesterday.
Very good.
Went up
very
yesterday.
Good.
I saw it. I live there.
Thank you, neighbor. I know.
So there's a lot of excitement going on in our community. It's a great time to be an Oak Lawnian. Let's see here. Oscar, what happened there? Okay, thank you. Here's the kind of a sketch of phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 is on the right side, obviously, where you see Mariano's, Cooper's Hawk, the other outbuildings where the other retailers are going to be. Phase 2 on the left side looks very similar to that, other than at the rear of that property, which would be the top portion, is are 2 detention ponds that are in there now, and you'll see a picture later on, but it's very pretty. So I think we still have about 8 acres to develop there for phase 2 at Stony Creek Promenade. The blacktop is in. Yeah, there's my key. 4 weeks from today, on Tuesday, September 9th, Mariano's opens. Everyone's very excited. The fact that the blacktop is in, I can't believe it. I looked at that site a week ago, and I never would have bet that they were going to be this far. So far, I believe that the number of total jobs created is roughly 400. And thanks in part to Trustee Desmond's Oaklawn Jobs Program that he was his brainchild. We've got 50 Oaklawn Jobs Program candidates that have been hired at Mariano's thus far. So kudos to Trustee Desmond for taking the leadership in the Oaklawn Jobs Program. Next is these are some photos that I took the other day. The photos on the left, top left and bottom left, are of the water feature that's going to be prevalent right on 111th and Cicero. The bottom right is the actual detention pond. It looks very pretty from up top there. And then the upper right-hand building is an outlot building that's being built along Cicero Avenue that will house several retailers. This here is, the photo on the left is the utility poles. I know there's been some controversy about those, but I gotta tell you, it's gonna look a lot better when those are gone and buried underground. Obviously, there's a cost to anything you wanna do that's nice, but in this case, I do think it's gonna be a big improvement in what we have to look at when visiting Stony Creek Promenade. This here is the old Edgar Funeral Home. The top picture is what the existing building looks like right now. That's where we're currently leasing out the building to Mariano's to do all their hiring and recruiting from through the end of next month. The board will be voting, I guess, in the near future here on what to do with that building now that we own it. The village owns the building, and we might as well make some use of it and start collecting some retail sales tax dollars and make it worth our while. So the bottom picture is just a proposed rendering that Hamilton Partners put together on what we can do. There's been some talk and some questions about why don't we tear down the building and start new. But with a lot of the new MWRD regulations, it's going to create a nightmare if we do that. So keeping the same footprint is something that would allow us to move forward in a much faster pace than waiting for MWRD to agree to everything. This here is the Hooters. I just was there today, and they actually just started. They put the fence up, and they've got they're going to be breaking ground here. They broke ground today on building the new Hooters. They're going to build the new building behind the current building on Cicero Avenue, so it'll be east of the current building. Then they will tear down the existing Hooters, and that's where the parking lot will be more in front. And it's going to be all state-of-the-art, very nice building. We had the owners in to make a presentation to PD&C and ADRC recently, and that top rendering is what it's going to look like, a lot more modern and state-of-the-art. Thanks. This here is the new Walgreens that's going up just west of the Red Lobster. They're going to be, they've started to break ground on that recently, and the cranes are in the air, they're building, and looks like they're going to be opening up some point first quarter of 2015. So we're getting close, and then ultimately when this Walgreens opens, it will have a drive-through. Unlike the Walgreens that'll be closing, that's on, I believe it's Malvina and 95th. There's no drive-through, so this Walgreens will take the place of that one once it opens first quarter of 15. First Midwest Bank, which is adjacent to that, right on McVicker and 95th, just opened, I believe it was this week, and it looks beautiful, great building. It's come a long way. The picture on the bottom left, it seems like it looked like that a couple of weeks ago, and now it's open for business. So great job on that development as well. Anyone driving down 95th Street, I think Trustee Vorder mentioned Carpet One, that old dilapidated building is now being torn down. Those pictures were taken yesterday, so they've probably made even more headway since then. But it'll be nice to get that down, and then the next photo will show what's going to take its place. the Women's Health Institute of Illinois. It's a 20,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility that's due to open next year, and I don't have an exact time frame. To the rear of that building will be a parking lot, and then there'll be a walkway that will, in the air from like the second or third story of the parking lot going to the facility. But it will be a big improvement from what's there now. Obviously, right in front of Village Hall here, Oaklawn Bank and Trust. The picture on the upper right was taken again yesterday, so they've come a long way with that. And the bottom picture is the rendering of what it's going to look like. I think we've all seen that before with the pictures out in front. But they're doing a great job, and it looks as though they're going to be able to open the bank in some capacity. I don't know if it'll be fully open, but in some capacity in the next couple of months, so by the fall of this year. Well, Hawk Ford, we just want to give kudos to Hawk Ford for the reinvesting in our community and making their dealership even greater than it already is. They're building a nice addition to their service department, redoing their facade, their signage, lighting, and making a nice investment in the community. So we appreciate Hawk Ford making that investment in Oaklawn. I don't know what happened there. And obviously we saved, last but not least, is Christ Hospital. They're doing a great job over there. I was out there yesterday. The cranes are going, and there's a lot of action there, and it's going to be beautiful. We're all putting up with the dust and the traffic and the noise while the addition are taking place. But once it's done, I think we're all going to see it better. It's going to be better for our whole village. And the next photo is what it's going to look like completed. It was scheduled to open in 2017. If the weather keeps cooperating, maybe we can get it open sooner. And last but not least, I just would like to thank the board, Mayor Burry, Manager Deachin, Clerk Quinlan, and all the trustees for, you know, if we work together, and like we have in the 10 months I've been serving in the economic development position for the village, when we work together, we get a lot more done, and it's fun. And we've made some great strides, but there's still a lot more to do. But just it's been an honor to serve this great village in the capacity of economic development. I would like to thank everybody that's worked with me. It's been a privilege, all the staff and co-workers that I've had the privilege to work with the village. And you know, we've made some great strides, like I said. Let's continue to work together and keep it positive. And you know, we're only going to make Oaklawn even a greater place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Excellent presentation.
That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Wow. How do you even follow that? That was awesome. Okay. Item 14, a request to approve the Planning and Development Commission referral for a special use permit and height variation to allow a cellular tower at 4401 West 103rd Street. This was a 7-0 vote to approve petition number 2014-13 and 2014-14, Village of Oaklawn petitioner. And then we have an ordinance granting that request, ordinance 142344. I have a motion, please. We're going to do these together on 14 and 15.
Motion to approve.
It's properly moved by Trustee Desmond,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Trustee Border?
I'm sorry, I apologize, Mayor, if I could just ask a quick question.
Certainly.
I know that one of the audience members was involved in, and as a neighbor of this, and I just wanted to make sure that all of her issues were addressed to her satisfaction.
Mayor, if I could, and board members, young lady attended, the neighbor to the south attended the Planning and Zoning Board She's got a great dialogue with Fire Chief George Sheets. The planning board gave a lot of attention to her concerns, and I have no doubt that we'll continue working with her to be a good neighbor. She brought out some excellent points that we will be working with her, having to do with better landscaping on our own fire station, as well as the screening of any HVAC on the roof. That was an improvement that the village did several years ago. There was inadequate HVAC in the fire station. We upgraded it, but quite frankly, we did not screen it, and we have an obligation to do that and be a good neighbor. So the answer is yes to that, Trustee Strike.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments, Pat? Would you care to come to the microphone?
I would, thank you.
You're welcome. And if you could state your name and if you're an Oak Lawn resident.
Pat Mackey, and yes, I am an Oak Lawn resident. I was at the planning and development meeting, and as Mr. Deacon said, all my questions were addressed. It's not that we're just replacing a tower. There is also going to be a building or a shed or something built around this tower. And yes, they did agree that things would be done to make it look more appeasing to the neighborhood. Nothing was really in stone on what was going to be done, and that's down the road. I understand that. My question was, the tower is going to be X amount of feet to start out. They can keep adding to it. Different communication companies can keep adding to it as the years go on. But how big is this structure going to be? All we got was how tall the tower is going to be, but how big is this structure going to be? Do you know?
Yeah, Mayor, I can address that. First of all, several years ago, the former board, at my recommendation, the Planning Commission, enacted a master telecommunications ordinance. This village did not have one. We were out of sync with what was happening in the real world as far as telecommunication towers. And we put that ordinance in place so that we could co-locate and over time reduce the number of these towers, number one, in the village-wide. Number two, to make them more attractive, do away with the inferior construction and use monopoles. The little shed you referred to, every tower has a shed that has backup power supply, battery supply, and other maintenance equipment that's
I think
needed.
the question was how tall is the
But
tower going to be?
This tower, as I said at the Planning Commission meeting, when we add on or co-locate a device, it will be below. We're not going up. So the height that was approved is the height. We don't
Okay.
add on to the tower.
Okay.
We add a disc. For example, we're talking to a company right now that we've driven them, rather than to locate in another neighborhood and build another tower, they will locate on this tower and they will be below, and it'll be a device that will not, I think, be obtrusive to the visual eye.
Okay, so in other words, whatever the height is when the new tower goes up, that's where it will remain.
That's
But any communications company could add themselves to the tower, not by going up, but by just attaching, per
That
se.
is-
I'm going to
that is
let our
correct.
attorney weigh in also. He's been eager to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We did, a lot of excellent points were raised at the Planning and Development Committee, and the ordinance that you're approving, or would be voting to approve tonight, has specific conditions to this approval. I'll just go through them very briefly. Number one, there will be a final lease between us and between the village and the cellular provider themselves. That will come before this board. You will have to approve that lease. So that's number one. We also condition this approval specifically on any future leases for co-location will have to be approved by this board again. So even if they go, if the tower's at 108 feet, if anybody wants to place any other providers on that tower, it has to come before this board.
Okay.
Number three, that a landscaping plan for all ground equipment be submitted to the village for approval. Number four, that adequate screening measures are taken to ensure minimal intrusion of ground equipment on neighboring properties. And finally, number five, that the Oak Lawn Fire Department continue to work with neighboring residents to ensure best practices in the operation of the new tower and overall logistical decisions pertaining to the fire station. So those are the specific conditions of this approval, and we were trying to address some of those concerns that we're talking about.
Okay, but again, how big is the shed that's surrounding this tower going to be? Does anybody know that?
Normally, those sheds are anywhere from a minimum of a 10 by 10 to a 10 by 18, 20 by 20. Those are the sizes that are pretty much industry standards that accompany a tower.
So you're going 8 by 10 to 20 by 20, that's big.
I'm being conservative, I'm giving you a range. Until they submit the plan, which they're required as a condition, and we review the architecture, the landscaping, the appearance of that shed so that it complements the existing station and your home to the south. Okay, I can't answer.
I believe we have someone in the audience who can answer that question regarding the size of the shed. Is that correct?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, can you please come to the podium and state your name also, and let us know, please, if you're an Oak Lawn resident.
My name is Michael Bittner. I'm with CCSI. I'm not an Oak Lawn resident, and we are working with the carrier on this proposal. The proposal that will be submitted and attached as part of the lease, which again must be approved by this board separately. The shelter proposed is 11 feet 5 inches by 12 feet, going on to a larger concrete pad to provide support. We will also have in there, as you mentioned, landscape screening, a series of, initially they'll be 6 feet tall arborvitae, providing year-round evergreen coverage on the south and eastern sides. Approximately 8 of those, which can grow to a total height of 10 to 15 feet, so it'll provide complete and year-round coverage, and that'll be part of the attachments in the lease for your later approval.
Thank you, very helpful information. Do you have any other
No,
questions?
that answered it. That at least gives us some idea of how big we're gonna go. The only other question I have, and it was kind of skated around at the planning and development meeting, was any other parcel of property in Oak Lawn looked at for this tower other than 103rd and Costner? And what was shown on the screen was just a white area to say that this suit the tower the best. Well, what other parcels of land were looked at? That was just skated around. There was no other answer to that.
Here, I wanna be as candid as I can with you
I hope
as a
you are.
homeowner
I know.
and the entire board. The co-location, and again, the ordinance, is to serve the public's interests. We're not gonna please everybody. We provide all village-owned properties, a list. We have a GIS list, which if any cell carrier comes to the village, we tell them that by law, you go to one of those sites first. You work with that unless you can show us that your technology will not work on one of those sites. Now, the second part of this is, as a taxpayer, the first co-location that will go on this site, we're already negotiating with that company. And they will pay upwards of, again, conservatively, more than $20,000 a month to co-locate on a pole which was paid for entirely by the private carrier. That's the purpose of the co-location. Now, what do we do with that money? It goes into the general fund to help offset the cost of village expenses, village operations. That's a big number.
Oh, it is, absolutely, I agree, and every community needs revenue being brought in. I have no problem with that, and we are working, I think, quite well together. It's just, I don't know, I just, until I see it and everything else, let's face it, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But now that I've kind of gotten some idea to how big this structure is gonna be, I feel a little better about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for your help with this.
And thank you for coming and letting us know how it's going for you. And never hesitate to call, okay? Thank you very much. So we had a motion and a second. I'm gonna call the vote.
Trustee Warder?
Yes.
This is item 14 and 15.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Alanichuk?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We're on item 16. This is a request to approve the Planning and Development Commission referral for variation from Ordinance 11-18-42 regarding flat work and impervious surfaces at 5513 West Oakdale. This is petition number 2014-15. Ellen and Rhonda Oliva, I'm sure, petitioners. And then we have Ordinance 1423-45 granting that variance. So may I have a motion, please, on items 16 and 17?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Trustee Border,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Quinlan. Is there any discussion on this item, and are the petitioners present? Yes, would you care to come up if anyone has questions? Does anyone have questions for the petitioner?
What was the vote from the Planning and Development Commission? It's not on there.
Let's see, it does not say.
6-0, I would say.
6-0?
Yeah, it was unanimous.
Okay, sorry, it usually says that.
Mayor, I would like to make a point. You know, we get a lot of these impervious surface ordinances for pools. And I don't understand why, because pools in themselves are retention basins. When I had a pool and it rained, that pool collected that stormwater, okay, and then I would get rid of it later after it dries, or it would evaporate. The purpose of the ordinance is to prevent floodwater. And I think that
No,
we need to
the
look at
purpose
that
of the
ordinance.
ordinance was to prevent people from putting up cement anywhere
Yes.
from the sidewalk into their backyard,
Right, but
because
it's-
we were having way too many people before we had this, that because it was unregulated, putting driveways in the front of their house, driveways in the back of their house. So the purpose of this was to make sure that, number one, we were able to get control of where any cement work that was gonna be done. Number two, when cement work was gonna be done, making sure that we weren't getting neighbors raising pitches above their grade level and forcing water to other people's homes.
And that's a great point, and a good point, but this, everyone that comes before us is about not an in-the-ground pool, an above-ground pool. Okay, and I really think we should be looking at an exception to a swimming
But
pool,
it's pool.
because it is a retention basin in itself.
It's closed.
I'm gonna let our village engineer weigh in.
We discussed that at the meeting.
Could you talk into the microphone, please? Thank you.
We've discussed that at the PDC. We could edit the ordinance to include pools. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, we can adjust the ordinance to account, some communities do accommodate pools.
Right, because we're just wasting citizens' time going through this whole process for a swimming pool that really doesn't address the purpose of the ordinance. They are retention basins in themselves, and it doesn't create a flood surface. So I think we should look at that ordinance.
But I think the impervious surface is the concrete that's going to be poured around the pool.
Well, these are above ground pools. We can make an
But
exception.
this one is
to an
in ground, I believe.
This was a oval pool above ground. I was at the P&D.
But then when they're covered,
It's
rain's
still-
not going in there.
No, they still are. They're still retention.
I
basins
personally
themselves.
would like to continue to see it, if someone could put some monstrous pool that completely takes up
Can we
all
take this back
green
into our
space.
committee meeting?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
refer
I
it
just
to
want- I
our
understand that this
ordinance committee.
Yeah.
Excellent suggestion. So, we have any further discussion on these two items? 16 and 17. Let's take the vote, please.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Alanichek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carver?
You're going swimming, sir. Congratulations. Is it Oliva? Oliva. Pardon my mispronunciation.
When will the pool be open and is it heated? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we already did 18, so I'm going to move on to 19. 19 is ordinance 142347. This is an ordinance authorizing and providing for the issue of not to exceed $220 million regional water system revenue bonds, IEPA third lien series, in one or more series of the Village of Oak Lawn, Cook County, Illinois, for the purpose of constructing improvements to the existing regional system of said village, incorporating a certain previously adopted ordinance, prescribing the details of said bonds, and providing for the collection, segregation, and distribution of revenues of said system, of said village. May I have a motion, please, on item 19?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry.
Second.
We have a second by trustee Warder. Any discussion on this item? Please take the vote.
Trustee Warder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We're up to item 20. This is ordinance 142348. This is an ordinance authorizing an encroachment onto a village easement at 9415 South Costner Avenue. And, yes,
If I could, Mayor, the agreement that is attached to the ordinance, we're looking for approval tonight, is not complete. Therefore, I'd ask that, if you are inclined to approve it, that we do it subject to, the portions that are left blank are describing the actual easement that the village has, and putting the document number from the county recorder's office. We're working with the advocate to get those documents. So I would ask that if it is approved, that we approve it subject to that finalization. And just kind of a note of what this is, as you've been seeing at the last few meetings, this is, you know, in response to requests for either businesses or residents to build structures over our existing easements where we have utility lines in there. What our goal is from staff is to present to you, if you're inclined to allow this, is to make sure that, number one, if somebody is going to build over our easements, they have the responsibility, and more importantly, the village has the right to be able to either take down the structure or access it by, for example, in this agreement, it's advocate will put a saw cut in there at their own expense. So in an emergency, if we have to get to our utilities, that it's not on the village's expense. So that's the idea, and we have a little bit of work to go, so it's not completely final. And with that, if you're inclined, I'd ask for approval subject to finalize.
okay. Larry, were you saying something?
I would support, I did speak with Pat Lyons from the hospital earlier today, and they worked really well with us on what, it's an important document, but the language is being directed specifically by our legal counsel, and they've accepted that language. So I told them there was no need for him to be here tonight. I was confident the board would support moving forward, subject to the language being put in the proper form by our legal counsel.
Okay, so we're going to modify the motion. Yes, trustee Warder?
And just as a point for the people of the 4th District, what we're talking about here is building a parking garage, the ground floor over this easement, which would be easy to access with cut. Hospital pays for it all, should we have to get to this line. We're not talking about building a real structure, a hospital building or something like that.
It's the parking garage.
It's the parking garage.
Okay, very good. So do we need to modify the motion, or?
There was no motion. I would recommend a motion subject to finalization. Motion to approve as a form subject to finalization by
I make that
Thank you.
motion.
Properly moved by trustee Warder,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion here? Trustee Quinlan?
I have to be honest, I talked to Jack about this earlier, and I talked even to Steve Barrett, because they did have some concerns, because, I think we're taking a hard stance, with the residents as far as getting into the easements, and more importantly, the liability of this whole thing. There weren't pictures of what this garage looks like. I have no idea how big this garage is. From my point of view, my concern is, okay, let's say it's a big break, and there's a lot of work that we have to go in there. Number one, I'm assuming, I don't know who's doing the work, and is it advocate that hires the people to actually remove the concrete? And then to repair it, let's say we repair the line, and then we've got to put the structure back. So who does that? Is it advocate? Does advocate do the whole thing? Who's hiring an engineer? I'm just saying, worst case scenario.
This is not a new issue. This issue was thoroughly discussed and was before this board and our planning commission, and unanimous approvals back in September.
I'm not saying I'm not voting for it. I'm
Please let him
stating my
continue.
concern.
Please let him continue, and then I'll turn the floor back to you.
I had the floor, but fine, Mayor, fine.
I think that the staff has been on top of this issue from day one. The die was cast back every single expansion of this hospital. No different than the Hilton, which I brought to everybody's attention in the 90s and in the 2000s. Things were done different in this village. But we can't change some of those things. All we can do is protect this village for the future. That's what this document
That
does.
is my
to
point,
protect the
Larry.
village.
You're getting all hot and bothered with
I'm hot and
me.
bothered by it.
Yeah, you
The one
are.
who's,
And all I'm saying to our attorney is to make damn sure we're not liable.
Please watch your language.
And that we don't have to worry about, you know, if there's a massive amount of work that needs to be done, who's paying for the engineering? Who's actually doing?
Can I, if
I
I just,
asked
if I
Jack.
can just add, if I can just
Okay,
add.
we're gonna let Trustee Quinlan finish speaking as I promised, then I'll turn
When I
the floor
talked
over
to
to
Jack,
Jack.
there was, you know, understanding from our conversation is that he believed that everything would be taken care of by advocate. I'm just saying, because too many times on this board, you assume and you get burned. I wanna make sure that there's absolutely, we have no liability at all. From structurally, if there's massive damage that is occurring, or we have to tear that crap out of it, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Sure, I do, and I guess the way the agreement's structured is, if we have to go fix our pipe, the work
Right.
to fix our pipe is the village's responsibility, just like it would be for any other utility. They're not automatically responsible for fixing our pipe, but since they're building over it, if we have to saw cut around or knock out floor or anything like that,
Right.
that's advocate's responsibility. And then we go in and fix the utilities. And then it's advocate's responsibility to put it back on top. The only thing we could potentially be liable for is any negligent acts that our workers do while we're in fixing the pipe. That's our only liability here.
Okay, like if a truck bangs into a piling or a pole or something and
Yes.
knocks something down.
Right, if
Okay.
it's our
It is
negligence,
something to think
yes.
about, but, and then the last point I just want to make sure with you is that, say, 25 years from now, Advocate doesn't own that parking garage anymore. So does that agreement carry on to the next person who buys that garage? That they have a clear understanding that this is part of the deal?
Excellent point. It should absolutely flow to any and all successors and assigns, everything like that. To the extent it doesn't, that will be added.
Okay, again, just wanting to make sure that that's not assumed and
I
that's
think
where
we
the
were
next
gonna-
group
Thank you.
comes in.
Jack, go ahead.
We also had Advocate install at their cost a double barrel pipe, so it's already redundant. There's two lines running where it goes under the garage, and those are cased also, so they can be accessed from the outside. Having to get into the garage is a worst case scenario. So there's two lines that are redundant. I think it's been heavily over designed.
Engineered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Trustee
said
Quinlan,
that
did you have
they-
any other questions for him?
that's
Okay, and we had questions over here, no? Okay, any other discussion? Let's take the vote, please, as amended.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
And Trustee Carver?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. 21 is ordinance 142349. This is an ordinance amending Title 4, Chapter 1, Section 6, and Title 4, Chapter 13, Sections 3 and 4 of the Oak Lawn Village Code pertaining to off-street parking regulations. May I have a motion, please, on 21?
Mayor, I'd like to ask for a motion to postpone this issue for a couple of reasons. This is a pretty big issue. I know it's been in the works for many months in our Planning and Development Commission. And the most recent meeting that they had, I have not seen the minutes from that meeting, and I also understand that there is a municipal analysis of other parking that is also available that we haven't seen. So for those two reasons, and because of the magnitude of the issue, I'd appreciate it if we could postpone this to the next agenda.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Okay. Let's take the vote.
Trustee Border?
This is a motion to postpone.
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
No.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay, 22 on our agenda this evening is ordinance 142350. This is an ordinance amending sections 4-1-6 and 4-61-2 of the Oaklawn Village Code pertaining to zoning regulations for freestanding ATMs. May I have a motion, please, on item 22?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by Trustee Quinlan,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Desmond. Any discussion here?
I have
Trustee
one quick
Quinlan,
question
sure.
to our attorney. Obviously, you know I was at that meeting, so I just want to make sure that there is no other loophole or any special permit use that can get around this ordinance that we're passing tonight.
Absolutely. After the deliberation by the PNDC, this ordinance reflects that for any freestanding ATM to be permitted in the village, it has to be an accessory use of a existing bank and part and parcel of a brick and mortar bank building. So, we would not be permitting, these dropping in the middle of a parking lot somewhere. I guess.
Okay, thank you.
I was at that meeting too, but this doesn't prohibit them inside, for example, a Walgreens.
No, nothing is, nothing indoor.
Just freestanding outdoor.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, let's take the vote, please.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Alanichek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We have item 23 on tonight's agenda, which is Resolution 142347. This is the Oaklawn Community High School Homecoming Parade on Thursday, September 25th, 2014. May I have a motion, please, on 23?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by Trustee Oliniechek.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Desmond. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes.
24 is Resolution 142348. This is a resolution to adopt the transportation and land use corridor plan for Ridgeland Avenue. May I have a motion on item 24?
Motion.
Properly moved by Trustee Warder,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Desmond. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Alanichek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Okay, we are moving on to item 25. This is Resolution 142349. This is a resolution approving the bid of Pine Roofing Incorporated pursuant to the Village Hall roof replacement and repair project. May I have a motion, please, on item 25?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by Trustee Carberry,
I'll second.
seconded by Trustee Warder. Any discussion here?
Just a couple of quick questions. And one
Trustee
was-
Stride,
Thank
you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I noticed that there were about 10 bidders that appeared for the pre-bid meeting, but only 2 supplied quotes, which, is, at least it speaks to something for sure. Probably the complexity of the job, I would suggest, but also I just wanted to. It kind of concerns me because it is about a $750,000 or close to $800,000 project, and I just wanted to know if that was budgeted this year.
Larry?
Yes. Yes, we're phasing the construction, Bob. Actually, the section that is most concerned on this village hall, ironically, is over the emergency dispatch center. And during the most recent weather we had, we have a lot of expensive equipment, about $2 million in telecommunications equipment for the dispatchers, and that is at risk. We have put this project off for some time, but we did budget it on a phased basis to do this roof. Last year we did Public Works, and we targeted the Village Hall to do the replacement. I was as concerned as you were, Trustee. I would have liked to see more bidders. These are 2 fine companies. I think it is the complexity, the fact it's the Village Hall, and because we have a skylight in the center here and we got issues, but we asked our consultant, McBrady, looked at both bidders. They're good firms, and we accepted the recommendation because timing is important in this one to get the job done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, please take the vote.
Trustee Gordon?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Lanchik?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We're on to item 26. This is a request by homeowners to appeal the appeals board denial, which was a 3-3 vote to rebuild the garage at 10445 South Knox Avenue. Petitioners Greg and Susan Ludwig in District 6. May I have a motion? Yes, sir.
This has been resolved.
Okay.
It's on here, obviously, the issue's been resolved. The homeowners are satisfied with, staff's communications and.
So we'll just table that?
Yeah, if the homeowners don't want to pursue their appeal, that's certainly their right, and you will not need to make a motion or take action on the item.
Okay, so we'll just move on then to the village clerk's report. Thank you very much. Okay.
Approval of semi-monthly disbursement number 2014-14D dated July 22nd, 2014 in the amount of $1,692,379.07.
May I have a motion, please, on item 27A?
Motion to pay the bills.
Properly moved by trustee Borderer,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
I agree.
Okay. Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, letter B. Approval of semi-monthly disbursement number 2014-15D dated August 12, 2014 in the amount of $4,700,976.92.
Thank you. May I have a motion on item 27B, please?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by trustee Desmond. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strike? Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Motion passes. Couple more things maybe. And longtime resident Eileen Bunny Coyne passed away last week. She was a longtime District 6 resident, active member at St. Catherine's. And Bunny, a lot of people knew her in the village, very active and really cared about Oak Lawn and the people around her. So she had a story every time she came up to the clerk's office, which was quite often, and Bunny will miss you. And on a really positive note tonight, I have a new grandson, born July 29th.
Congratulations.
His name is Callum Murphy Quinlan, and born to Walt and Jessica Quinlan, so it's really positive. He's my
Congratulations.
sixth grandchild.
Oh, 6.
Six, oh, no, 7.
You're not a great grandma yet?
I'll race you, Alex.
Jane, you want to borrow this? Okay, congratulations. When's the next one coming?
November.
November,
I'll
very
tell you
good.
about it.
Thank you. Anything else, Jane? Okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to item 28, which is the village president's report. 28A is ordinance 142351. This is an ordinance amending Title 3, Chapter 3, Section 6 and 7 of the Oak Lawn Village Code pertaining to liquor license classifications and fees. May I have a motion, please, on 28A?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Desmond,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Motion passes.
28B is a request to approve a Class S like Sam liquor license for Mariano's at 8517, Mariano's number 8517 at 110th and Cicero, 11000 South Cicero. May I have a motion on 28B, please? And the ordinance following is 142352, granting that request. May I have a motion on 28B and C? Properly moved by Trustee Carberry, seconded by Trustee Warder. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
Trustee Warder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
28D on tonight's agenda is a request for a Class I, like Indian, liquor license. This is restaurant liquor, bar permitted, live entertainment permitted for Red Lobster Hospitality, doing business as Red Lobster, store number 0158. This is at 9500 Southwest Highway in District 3. And do I do E at the same time? Okay, item E is ordinance 142353, granting that request. May I have a motion on 28D and E, please?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Trustee Oliniechek,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Carberry. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
Trustee Warder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to F. This is Appeals Board appointments, and we're going to postpone the District 5, or just table that one. But the District 3 appointment is replacing an expired term of Mr. Robert Quaid. This is replacing with Mr. Andrew Skundrianos for a term there. We have a motion, please, on item F.
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by Trustee Warder,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Desmond. Any discussion here?
Yes, Mayor.
Trustee Straight.
As the trustee for the 3rd District, I want to point out that I was never contacted about this appointment of a Board of Appeals member, even though the recommendation is for a 3rd District resident. I put out a request to the residents, all of the residents, all the households in my district, to find qualified volunteers to serve on the boards and commissions in our community. I had in excess of 50, I believe it was 54 people who sent in a response and submitted to an interview, including sending a resume, so that the village would have the best people who were qualified for each position should there be an opening. And I have actually made I feel some of the finest board members that we have, board and commission members in our community, come out of the 3rd District. So the fact that the mayor has selected somebody without my input, I think is disrespectful to everybody, not just the residents of District 3, but the residents of our entire community. I think it disenfranchises anyone who legitimately was interested in serving the village and who participated in a fair process. I would certainly ask, what was the process here? Or was the process open, or was it just one person? Was just one person considered? Was the position advertised? And I've always believed that we should try to get as many people as we can involved in the village. I think that involvement in a town that you live in makes for a better citizen and a better neighbor. So what happened here, my question would be what happened to ethics and transparency? This looks like another example of the mayor and the majority will do as they please without regard to the ethics and the protocol that has been established here for so long in our community. So I will be opposing that recommendation.
Madam Mayor, can I address this?
Yes, certainly.
Trustee Strike, do you remember appointment of a Commissioner Dave Tebow about 3-4 years ago? Do you remember how you voted on that?
I don't know.
Do you remember that the trustee in that district had another appointee that was already his recommendation to it? And the preceding mayor's recommendation was to appoint another person, in which if you go back into your records, you supported that. So I want to understand what's changed between then and now, because you talk about how things used to be done, It's an appointment that is
Well, you know,
by the mayor.
Okay, that's a real good question, Trustee Olenichek, and I know that all splashed all over your campaign literature was, you know, I am for ethics and transparency in government. How is it when you select somebody, so you want to say, well, you know, you may have done this, and by the way, I don't recall for sure how.
Well, Bob, you did do that.
Well, you know what?
You did do that.
You know what, you also did, you actually voted for somebody
Okay.
who was arrested for road rage, for a road rage incident.
We're
and
gonna
the
keep it
following
to the
month,
subject.
You put him on the traffic review committee. So that's the kind of caliber of people that you're bringing to this village.
Madam Mayor,
Trustee
the other
Olenichek,
question
you
I
have the
have
floor,
for
and
Trustee
then we're
Strike,
gonna
did you share your candidates with the village board with their resumes after you did the interview to let anybody know? And did you know that that position was open?
Actually, I would have been happy had the mayor contacted me and said, do you have a recommendation? Of course I would have shared with her, you know, my recommendation.
Oh, you did not know that
you know,
that
So
position was
Trustee
open?
Straight, will I have your other recommendations in my office, please? Thank
Crystal
you.
Brady used to send us a list and let us know who was up. on
I know
the
every one of the
commission.
ones that are coming to be up on my
Okay.
own. That's what a
Chris
mature,
did that.
responsible
You
trustee.
know that.
Trustee Quinlan, you're really talking out of turn a lot,
Can
and
I
I'll.
please answer that, since this is going to the clerk's office? The former mayor insisted that that come to him. He said we had no business sending it out to everybody else, so we sent that purposely to the mayor.
Okay, I'm
You
gonna,
sent many lists, there's many expired.
Seen every
Yes,
list from
I'm
Chris.
telling you the
Chris has
truth.
sent me every single list.
okay. Trustee Border, you haven't weighed in yet, sir.
Yeah, just a point of order. These are your appointments, Mayor. There's no requirement for you to ask any trustee, okay, for recommendations or appointments.
And this was an appointment the trustee who's objecting had
Yeah,
put
you
through
know
in the
what,
past and had no
I appreciate that
problem
you
with.
might reach out, but
So-
these are your appointments, okay?
It was,
Just a
he had
matter
no
of
problem
politics
with the
here.
gentleman before. So I'm gonna call the vote, please. This is item F. Yes.
Trustee Warder?
Yes.
Trustee Strike?
No,
Trustee Quinlan?
No.
Trustee Olenichek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Motion passed 4-2.
Okay, item G is a memorandum of understanding between the Village of Oak Lawn and the VFW. Direct General Counsel to prepare a draft memorandum of understanding for consideration. So I was hoping kind of to have this by tonight's meeting, but we don't, and it's not a problem. But what I'd like to do is ask the board if there's any objection. You know, we just want to kind of take it to the next level while engineering is still looking at everything. So we'll have that probably at the next board meeting. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any, let's see. General Village Matters, okay. So I want to congratulate, we had a 100-year-old resident here tonight, and I want to congratulate a very special 90-year-old resident. I want to wish Mr. Bob Wilcox a very, very happy 90th birthday. He's a special gentleman. Most people don't know in Oak Lawn we have a resident who actually made Harry Carey's famous glasses. Mr. Wilcox is an optician by trade and actually worked on Michigan Avenue and made those. He's a local hero of mine, a World War II vet. So happy birthday, Mr. Wilcox. He watches every board meeting. So
Mayor, I gotta just
Yes.
add, because he's a friend of mine. Here's a man that was in the first wave on D-Day.
Yes.
How big a hero can that be? Got himself a Bronze Star and Purple Heart.
Yeah.
Certainly deserves it.
And he's still working. He's still working with our youth, with the Boy Scouts. He's still making a difference at the age of 90. What a great guy. So I went over to Coral Plaza, and is Steve still here? Steve Radis? He gave such an excellent presentation, but he forgot about Flapjacks. Flapjacks has a little tiny bit of storefront, but a huge 5,000 square foot store that is ready to open this month, I'm hearing. I'm hearing probably the last week in August. An announcement will be forthcoming. All of us are very excited at his reinvestment in our community, and he's going to be looking to hire a lot of people. He is taking applications now. Congratulations to Flapjacks. I don't have to repeat Mariano's all over again, so we're just super excited about that, and what a great impact that will make on employment. I guess the last thing, you know, going back to what Trustee Strite said, you know, he said, what are the numbers? What are the actual numbers? I had a kind of review of, you know, 7 years of dispatch history and outlining 157 separate incidents that required disciplinary action from 2007 to 2013. 835 sick days. There was a lot going on. If press would like any of those documents, I have the names redacted, but if press is interested in that history, I'd be happy to provide that. So, you know, anyway, with that, I'm going to go to motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Properly moved by Trustee Warder, seconded by Trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes.